Vicki Hogarth, and welcome to Southwest Magazine. My guest today is Robert Gauvin, who is seeking leadership of the New Brunswick Liberal Party. Thank you so much for being here again, Robert.
Thank you for having me here again.
I want to talk again, because you were here quite a while ago,
Yes.
a little bit about your background before people vote for who will be the leader very soon. But I did want to talk about first something we didn't touch on last time, which is the fact that of the four candidates, you are the only one who is currently an MLA of CHCO-TV. So
Yes.
what does that do in terms of maybe an advantage it would give you if you are chosen as leader?
Well, it is the day after the convention. An elected member can question the premier right in the assembly, and then you get traction, you get the media traction, you know the files, and you're in there. So you can ask the questions, you can ask the people's questions, because I ask people to send me questions, and the important questions are asked, and they can be asked directly to the premier. So that's very important, and you work with caucus all the time, so you have you have the real point of view of all the province, and you can start to build for the next election.
Can we look back at something like a situation with the last election when Kevin Vickers was leader, but then he didn't win his seat? Is that always something that could be a potential?
Well, the thing is when you run for leadership, the election period is 28 days. If you're the leader, you have to go all over the province and still win your seat. But if you're in danger in your seat, you cannot do the province like you should. You have to be secure enough in your seat that you can run all over the province to help others get elected and to listen to people. Most importantly, listen to the people on the ground. And people want to speak to the leader. So you have to be able to do that. And to do that, you have to be secure enough in your seat.
Now, you've been on the campaign trail for quite some time now. When we first talked, it was just sort of starting. You're usually based in CHCO-TV, but what have you learned from, I've seen you a lot in Charlotte County.
Yes.
Charlotte County Pride. I saw you at Hillary's Hope for Hunger in
Yes.
St. George, which
Yes.
was back in April. Can you tell me a little bit about where you've been in Charlotte County in particular and what you've taken away from that?
Well, I've been all over the place, and it's important because I came here, I think, 6 times. There was once with all the candidates. We had an informal forum that night. I came to meet the association, like I said, the Pride. And for me, I want to congratulate the kids and the organizers, because to have that here, I was so touched. But that I even forget in TV, I forgot to say my own name, who I was. I was so touched because I told those kids, you are here, you are standing up for what's right. And that is very important, because most of the time when something comes out, you hear the opposing point of view, but nobody's for it speaks out, and that scares me. But that day, those kids were heard loud and clear, and I felt proud to be here.
It was our 4th ever Charlotte County Pride Walk, first ever in St. George, and I believe that was the largest turnout we've ever
Yes.
had in a rural place like we are in. It was incredible to see. Why was that event in particular something that you felt was important to be a part of?
Well, I feel that as elected officials, the kids and the people who organize need to feel the support. So when the time comes that we make government, they know they have an open door, open mind, and somebody that will listen. And you have to come not only during election period, but every chance you get. I don't refuse an invitation. When I feel something is right, I don't refuse an invitation, because when it's the right thing to do, just you being there sends a message that you care about it and you're serious about it. Mm-hmm. And also for Hillary's Hope, it was important to be here. Just a shout out to Patty, and it's important also awareness for what she went through, so that's important as well. Mm-hmm. And again, those are all positive things that people organize that bring the region and the place together, and that's important. And we need to do more of this all over the province. Mm-hmm. People that get involved with the community and do the right thing, and I think that's what New Brunswick's all about. People and communities.
I think most people know what Hillary's Hope for Hunger is, but for those at home who don't, it's a food drive for Hillary, who is Patty Borthwick's daughter, who
Yes.
lost her life to suicide. And I know you mentioned before we started filming that healthcare was one of the most important issues you heard from New Brunswickers that they care about.
Yes.
But I'd love to know, what were those key issues that, from meeting people, from spending the summer thus far campaigning and going door to door and going to different communities, what have you heard from New Brunswickers in terms of what they want in?
That's a great question, because the main thing is healthcare all over the province, and you saw what happened the last few weeks. We all know about it. We all know, and it's not to try to bang on something like that, but it's what people talk about, healthcare, because we are an aging province, and a lot of people are afraid. They want to keep their services. They want to make sure that if they need a doctor, they have one. A lot of people don't have doctors right now in New Brunswick. And for me, that's been, even before this race started, it's been over 2 years of my life that I've spoken to people on the ground, nurses, doctors, people that were on boards, and people, all over, the experts, everybody. Because as an MLA, I have access to these guys. And 3 things came out, very important. Staffing issues. We have people from other countries that can work in BC and Ontario, but they cannot work in New Brunswick. That needs to be fixed. They have 12 recruiters in Nova Scotia who recruit aggressively for healthcare. We have 1 position here in New Brunswick, and it was vacant. I don't know if it has been filled, but there's just 1. It's not enough. And we lost 4 oncologists. I don't wish an oncologist on anybody, but if you need one, you should have one. Mm-hmm. And they're leaving because the relationship with this government is not as respectful, I think, as it should be. So those are points that we can work on right now to help. And mental health, also very important. You spoke about, you touched on it a little bit, but that's very important. Mm-hmm. We need to talk about it, and we need to do more. And also seniors care, because in nursing homes, after the pandemic, we're gonna hear stories that we won't like. And these guys in nursing homes, they build this province for us. So they deserve the dignity that they work for. They work for us. Mm-hmm. So we need to do better by them.
I might use this moment, talking about healthcare, to pivot and go back in history. You started your career as a conservative in politics.
Yes.
Can we talk about, it was healthcare, though, that was a pivotal moment for you, that made you become an independent and then ultimately lead to your career in the Liberal Party. Can we talk about
yes.
Where you started and how you got to where you are now?
Well, I was elected in 2018 in Shippagan, Lamec-Miscou, as a conservative. But then when it happened with healthcare, the only thing that could be done to try to prevent the closures of emergency rooms all over the province at night. Imagine when you're at the most vulnerable, if you get sick at midnight or something like that, they would have been closed all over the province. So the only thing that could be done to prevent this in a minority government was me walking out. So that's what I did, and that it's was the worst week of me and my wife's life, because that's the toughest decision that I've ever made. But same situation, I would do it again, mm-hmm. because it led to me where I am right now, and it's more. I feel very comfortable where I am right now with the Liberal Party, but it needed to be done, and that's the only thing that could be done to prevent it. And I'm happy because a lot of that helped a lot of people that this stayed open. Could you imagine the hospitals around the big hospitals, like the rural hospitals in Sussex, Sackville, for example, and Sainte-Marie-de-Kent? Hospital in Moncton could not afford during the pandemic. If those 3 ERs would have closed, it would have been a bigger mess than it is right now. Mm. So I believe it was the right thing to do. It was not fun, but.
Was there a fear at that time, going into the unknown? And first you went independent.
Yes.
But you'd been deputy premier. You were walking away from a lot. Was there fear at that moment that maybe you were ending your political career by making that choice?
Well, that was all part of it. Because you think, I'm leaving a job I might never get again, with no place to go, because you're an independent. You had no place to go. So yes, it was a big decision, because one of the feeling was, am I continuing in politics? Am I, because nobody knew what was going to happen after. When you make a decision like that, there's no guarantees after. So you do it and you accept the consequences. And it was a family decision between me and my wife, and we couldn't go on. At a certain point, you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, can I accept that? Especially when I knew that we were not telling the whole story to the population in New Brunswick. So when you can't go for something like that, you have to do it. It's not fun and it's done and it's, it's time to move on. But we felt it was the right thing to do.
And so what brought you from independent to the Liberal Party? What was the decision making that went into that?
Well, the values. I am fiscally responsible and socially conscious. So I think a lot of people in New Brunswick need help, and right now they're not getting it. You can travel all over the province, they are not getting it. A lot of small programs have been cut that help people in schools, kids in schools, everything like that, they're not getting it. So we need to identify people who need help and help them. And the values of the Liberal Party they're exactly that. And during this race, that's what we heard all around the province. I think people are ready for us to get back there.
We talked a little bit about this last time you were here. Last election, though, Liberals didn't do as well as previously. Higgs was no longer a minority government. Do you have hope that things will change? And what do you think that you will bring to the table if you're elected that will get more traction for the Liberal Party going forward?
Well, engaging people. Right now, everywhere in the province, we feel that people want to be engaged again. And I like to go see people. And as politicians now, social media is good, is great, but the main thing is you have to go everywhere in the province and listen to people. And that's what I will bring, because we need to be strong everywhere in the province, and we don't need to be divided. We can all work together, but to be able to work together, we have to talk to each other. And the best way to do that is to show up. And like I said, I've been here 6 times. You show up and people say, okay, he wants. There's a trust. There's beginning to be a trust between the people. So that's important. I think that's the thing I'll bring, and teamwork. People who are going to get on the team, they know they will participate. And they know this is not going to be a one-man show. This is going to be a whole team effort. And one of the basic human needs is being part of something. And we feel it right now, and people feel like, okay, we need to get involved because I know we can do better.
Mm-hmm. What do you think? You're running against 3 other people. What sets you apart from them? What makes you the better candidate in your mind?
Well, I believe, they're all good. Everybody's good, and I'm not going to knock anybody out because I've got a good relationship with Donald, Susan, and TJ, so there's no problem there. I would say, I'm elected, so that helps. I'm already in there, and I have the experience. I was put in a tough spot when I was where I was, so I know what's going on over there as well, and the willingness, just the sheer desire, the focus, the desire, and I am willing to put everything on the line. So I believe the people in Brunswick know I'm loyal to them, so I am willing to put everything on the line. I'm not looking for a long career, or I'm just looking to help, and I feel right now is the right time to help, so that's why I'm in this.
One of my favorite things about you is that your career prior to politics was as a comedian.
Yeah.
Has that helped you politically in any way? I mean, if we look at someone like, I say that sincerely, I look at someone like Zelensky, who is one of the heroes of the age we're living in right now, who himself was a comedian. But in what way did the career you had in the arts set you up for the trail you're on now?
I would say the best thing about the arts, and every artist, no matter what the art is, the truth. If you get to the truth, it gets better. And you cannot lie to yourself. Because if you want to be a good artist, you can't lie. If you want to send a good show, you want to make a good show for people, you cannot lie to yourself. So you have to get to the bottom of things. You have to get to the truth. And I believe that's one thing that's very important. And also that when you have an artistic side, you're more sensitive. Some people see that as a weakness in politics. I know where I was, they saw that as a weakness, but I think being sensitive, you have to keep it. Because when things start not affecting you, it's dangerous. So I get affected. If I see something that's makes me sad, I'll be sad. If I see something that's won't be good, I will say something. So it's important to keep that side, and that's the artistic side. And I'm not comparing myself at all with the Zelensky president, because he's a tremendous human being. But I think it's good for the artists everywhere to show that this job of politics is for everyone. Mm-hmm. It's not just for a certain type of people, it's for everyone. So I'm happy about that.
Now, you mentioned healthcare, obviously, and we're still in the midst of a pandemic, a different chapter of it, but it's still here. And you've mentioned healthcare going forward as being a major priority for the province. But what else do you see as our collective challenges and obstacles that we'll be facing in the next few years?
Well, all globally, you have the environment, also education is very important. I think and housing in New Brunswick, of course, the housing crisis has to be worked on. So there's a lot of things, because the province of New Brunswick, the government in New Brunswick is responsible for over 50,000 regulations. So depending on where you sit, something might be more important to you than others. But like I said, the environment, is going to get, if we don't do anything, it's going to get worse and worse. We're just speeding things up, so we have to react on that. The housing crisis, can't stand seeing people living in the streets or don't have a roof over their heads. So that's important. And education, I've realized something during this race. A generation ago, we took trades outside of schools, and right now, a generation later, we have problems staffing in those jobs, electricians, people who work in garages, carpenters and that stuff. We took that away in schools, and now we see the results a generation later. So there's a lot of things important, and we need to work one at a time. We focus on one thing at a time, and we fix it.
If you're looking at the Higgs government, it's a government you've been a part of too. What do you think would make a Liberal Party that you would be the leader of stronger than the government we currently have?
Well, you listen to the people. Because you saw what happened. When people don't want something, government will change its mind. So why not? And they use the pandemic to bring reforms. So people were not properly consulted. So I believe if you consult people face to face, it's not the same thing as being on a Zoom meeting or something like that. So we would try to be close to people, try to listen to people and get people involved, and we would open the door to people who want to help their community. If you come and ask for something for yourself, I say, okay, I'll give it to you as long as what you want is good for your community, because this is what we need more of in New Brunswick. So I believe if we get to that and we engage people in that, because there's a lot of people in New Brunswick who are helping all over the place. You go to community breakfasts everywhere, so there's a lot of good things going on, hockey tournaments and whatnot. So we need to encourage that. And I was speaking with a guy from St. George today, and he was talking about a car show that was in Moncton this weekend. So what a great thing but you need a lot of volunteers to make this happen. And this is good for the economy as well. So we need to engage people in that also, because right now there's challenges to getting people involved. Yeah.
Obviously, the pandemic, the silver lining, I think, for a lot of us in New Brunswick is that so many people, not just in Canada, but around the world, discovered us for the first time. Things about us we knew were wonderful already. But not just looking at challenges, let's look at strengths for a second. What would you say are some of our best strengths that we haven't really mined to their full capacity?
In New Brunswick, we speak about our resources, but the best resource we have is our people. No matter where you come from, what's your culture, it's our people. We've lived hundreds of years here. We never had a war with each other. We have good people in New Brunswick. So that's number one. Second thing, we could have a better economy if we help small businesses, medium businesses more, because they make up 98% of the business world in New Brunswick. So those are things that we can work on that would make New Brunswick better. And those are strengths, because those small businesses are all over the province. And if they grow with private sector jobs, which is very important for any economy. And we have it in New Brunswick. And plus we have products that people all over the world want. We have wood, fish, we have everything we need, and we can help all over the world. Plus, people don't know this, but we have free trade with France. New Brunswick has an open door to Europe through France. We have free trades, which apply to every business in New Brunswick, no matter where you are. So there's a lot of possibility. We just need to get on it and make it work. So I think New Brunswick will rebound very well. I'm very hopeful of what we can do, because we have the right people here. In New Brunswick, people are humble, they're hardworking, and they have respect for one another. and we should put the light on that.
Last time you were here, this is how long ago it was, people were still registering to vote.
Yes.
There were some news headlines that talked about the numbers being lower than, let's say, the time Brian Gallant was elected leader. Why do you think the numbers are lower? Could it be in part pandemic related, summer related even?
It can be all of it, but it's like I said earlier in this interview, it's harder and harder to engage people. You can see the number. I know the last time, and it's not a comparison, just those are facts. In 2016, somebody gave me the numbers for the Conservative Convention. There was 7,000 people registered, 5,000 voted. It's tougher and tougher to engage people, and so it is. And summertime, people, it's and people have to know, they have to register. So all things challenges that we had to work on. But I'd say right now, and that's why I'm speaking about engaging people, because like I said, if people would get involved in politics, they would know how much politics is a part of our life every day. So that's why we need to work on that.
And New Brunswick, it's always so interesting too, because when you look at the numbers, when it's thousands, you really do feel like your vote makes a difference.
Yes.
So as we're recording this will be playing during the votes for the next leader, as well as the interviews with the other candidates.
Yes.
What do you say to people for why they should vote for you?
Well, what you see is what you get. Like my wife, before I came into politics, my wife told me, said, you have one rule, don't change. Because I was never involved in politics before. So I stayed the same person all the way through, and like I said, what you see is what you get. And when I did what I did with the hospital thing, you cross a line, and that line is doing the right thing. And once you do that, you never want to go back. So that's it. I'm gonna put people first, because I have something, might be a quality or a flaw depending on how you use it, but if people are not happy, it affects me. If somebody around me is not happy, it affects me. It hurts me. So one thing, I try to please as many people as I can, and every MLA for every riding will be respected, and working together with everybody.
And so for people watching at home, the deadline is August
the 6th. The vote will start on 30th of July, or is going on right now, depending on when this airs. But the convention will be August the 6th.
So when does that do for you, Robert? If you win, are you just leader? And then what will your first moves be?
Well, one of the first moves will be going to every riding that we don't have MLAs right now, and trying to find good candidates and speak to the people on the ground what the needs are of every riding, so we can find out what would be important here. And I say to people, if the community there's 10 major regions in New Brunswick, if communities get behind a project and each community said, this is the one that we like, we will make it happen. And those are things that are important, and people will feel listened to, and they know that we will work on it. And like I said, we want an engaged caucus. We want, because all the province has to be in it. It cannot just be regions by regions. All the province has to be in it for it to work.
And when you mention working together, do you feel equally as able to work with people regardless of the party they are at in the legislature?
To me, if people want to help, if somebody comes with a personal agenda, you can see it pretty quickly. But if people want to work and want to help, hey, if people want to help, that's good. It's harder and harder to find in politics, but it's doable. We want to work with people who want to help. And I think more and more people vote for the person. They don't vote for the party. I think it's a good thing. But right now, I believe the liberal values are more what people in New Brunswick need.
We've just got a couple minutes left now, so I would love to leave the final words with you as we get to this nearing election. What do you want people to remember, not just about why they should vote for you, but why they should vote at all?
Because it affects their life, everyday life, and I know it's my slogan there, but their voice matters, and it should matter, because this is public service. We do that for them. It's not an easy job. It's a 7-day-a-week job. people have problems every hour of the day, so they try to reach you every hour of the day. So they have to, if they voice their opinion, and then they participate. And when you participate, you can talk about it, you can criticize, you can try to help. You're in it, and that's very important. And because right now we see the tendencies of voting is getting lower and lower, and it's not good. It's not good for democracy, because the more people that vote, the better chance you have to have the best representation, because all of the people will have voted.
Well, I appreciate you coming back to sit with me again.
Thank you very
and
much.
Please do the doors open whenever you're in Charlotte County.
Thank you very much.
My guest today has been Robert Gauvin, who is seeking leadership of the New Brunswick Liberal Party. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Thank you for watching Southwest Magazine.
Southwest Magazine is a news and public affairs production of CHCO Television.